So my name is Jovanka Voyich, and I am an associate professor in the Department of Immunology and Infectious Diseases, and my expertise is in bacterial pathogenesis. In particular, I study both the host and the pathogen and how the pathogen evades the host. So I chose this field because I was very interested as a child in both the human medicine and animal medicine, and I really had a hard time deciding between human and animal medicine. And when I finished up my college degree here at Montana State University, I volunteered in a lab while I was trying to decide if I wanted to be a doctor, a dentist, a veterinarian, and even an attorney was in there for me to decide. And I worked in a lab, and I just enjoyed the art of discovery and how creative you could be in a lab. And I realized that actually got both of my passions to work with the host, even on animals and with humans. I realized with research I could do both of those activities. So my background is where I got my degree. I got my degree at Montana State University in biology, and then I did my PhD at Montana State University as well. And I did my postdoctoral work at the Rocky Mountain Labs at Hamilton, Montana. So I'm kind of a rare breed here at Montana State that's actually educated at Montana my entire career. So I grew up in Livingston, Montana, and I grew up on a ranch, and I actually participated in 4-H, and my expertise in 4-H was actually the veterinary science, was what I used to do in 4-H, and train dogs. That was my deal for 4-H. But the ranching background, I think, really helped me, give me a very strong work ethic for going into higher ed and doing a job that's really quite demanding, which the job that I currently have is quite demanding. So my main area of research is understanding how a host interacts with a pathogen. And I am particularly interested in how a host interacts with bacterial pathogens. And in my lab we study Staphylococcus aureus, which is a common commensal on humans, which also causes very severe diseases in humans as well. We also study group A strep, which is the bug that gives you strep throat. So we study, those are our primary focus in the lab. And what we look at is a big cell in our body called the neutrophil, and our body produces about 10 to the 11th of these per day. So we just churn these out, and the job of these cells is to come in and clear out pathogens. It does a really good job with fungi, it does a really good job with bacteria. But these bacterial pathogens, why do we get strep throat? Why do we get Staph aureus? They have to evade that neutrophil. And there's a lot that we don't understand how it gets away from this really potent cell that can actually produce bleach when it ingests these bugs. But how do these bugs, which are often called superbugs, Staph is called a superbug because it has antibiotic resistance, how do these bugs, once they get ingested, how have they cleverly figured out how to get away from this neutrophil? And that's really the thrust of our research here. So what I'm hoping the students get out of it, first of all, is some excitement for science, and to understand that when you are doing an experiment, really at that point in time, there's only one person who knows the results of that experiment. So you have ownership, there's discovery, it's creative. I hope that they take home some of the concepts that they can take home from here is we are super organisms. People always forget that. We think of, we're human, we have human DNA, but we are made up of DNA of tens of thousands of millions of organisms within us. And in fact, they outnumber us 10 to 1 bacteria in our body. And how important that is in health and in disease. And I hope when, by the end of this module, students will have, first and foremost, some excitement about science, whether or not they want to go into infectious disease, but some sort of field that has to do with science. And then secondly, to really take home very general concepts about our body and infectious disease and our body and health, which we are superorganisms with lots of bugs that are good for us.